Hello, Aerial Flight Advisory again with some more of my Endless Legend tutorial. I'm starting at the point you always start in a game, zoomed in on your capital city, checking out this glorious tile it's on. Chromatic Land is what that anomaly is called, and it is gorgeous. And this is a bit weird for me because normally I come back in knowing exactly where I left off, but it's a bit weird because the patch happened and I played through the rest of this game off screen already just to make sure it still work after the patch, and yes it does. So it'll be a bit weird, but it will be stable, and it will actually take a while for me, but probably not so long for you guys because I'm going to start cutting out most of the manual battles from here on out. Once I start attacking the Necrophage, who are definitely going to be my next target. They're right there. They still got a pretty good lead on techs and other stuff. Then after the first battle with them, I was going to start cutting things out to try to keep it short. And I'm sure you guys get the point of it now. I know you don't like people repeating themselves, and at this point that's kind of what I'd be doing if I was showing you that. But first, there's still a bit more left. This is Mazzari, right? Yeah, this is Mazzari. I can't attack it yet because I did just take over that. I'm starting off on the same turn I started at before. A couple things happen. Roving clans aren't happy. They're closing borders. If we look at the map, things are kind of crazy for both the Ardent Mages and the Broken Lords right now. This is one of the reasons I want to take over some Necrophage cities, because they're taking over some other people's cities. So they're getting the kind of advantage that I have right now. So if I just nab those, that'll hopefully settle things. And then roving clans, I'm definitely going to want to eye those guys because they have the next lead, and they're also right next to my main heart of my territory here. So they are a bit of a concern, but I'll deal with them in time. Some things I need to think about though. I don't want to talk about the main quest. I'm still stuck on chapter 2, so we're going to fix that. Military's going pretty well in that city, so I'm going to start moving some into influence. I've bartered for some techs earlier from other factions. I'm going to do a bit more of that this game because it's a great idea. That's a great way to get tier 1 techs you didn't get before because it wasn't worth it at the time. That way you don't have to worry about going, oh no, I'm going back to tier 1, why is it worth it? And it's still worth it. But that way you can use it, gain some diplomacy points for that victory if that's your kind of thing. And actually these guys should be enough to help reinforce, so I'm going to have them run on forward. And maybe take out some of these minor factions on their way, because this is a stage in the game when they start to wander into territories that are not their own. What was I going to do? Oh yeah, I still want to see your territories. I'll wait a bit because you're still unhappy. Now I'll worry about everyone else later. Honestly, once I take this next city from Mazzari though, I'm going to declare peace with them. Because they only have the one more region, they're pretty much no longer a threat. And I have their capital, so if I wanted to go by Supremacy Victory, I could. This happens, it's just the thing I mentioned before, roaming armies trying to attack a city, but the militia at this point are more powerful than they are. So I'm not particularly worried, it's just going to be a bit lame for a bit. And things I want to show off this game. Well, first, there's something important I'm missing tech-wise. Maybe not like that, the Imperial coinage is pretty important, but I'm pretty sure I can trade with somebody for that. That's right, we moved up to tier 4, that's what I was forgetting. So we're going to get those, because we have a lot of dust. It's either orchid or dust water, I forget which, but either one, I like both of those that are good. And then after that, I usually get the food stuff, but normally I can actually trade for that. So hold off on that for a bit. And think. There's a nice Necrophage city there. And then there's that one there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna... Well, then again, they have cities right here too. That one's bigger. I'm gonna go for that one first. Also gives me excuse to look around the rest of this territory a little bit. So this city is going to be another influence spec city. It's got the river so we can go for the dredger tech. Got some... Actually no, it doesn't have forest, so the lumber mill's not worth it because it only benefits forest tiles. That should be okay to get it started. That would have been a pretty fantastic spot for a city too. I might actually consider that with this one, but then again, this is a good spot too. The thing I'm considering is I'd like to show off what happens when you raise a city, which you can't do right away because you have to have full ownership of it first. So one of these smaller cities I took, like probably this one actually. That's not a bad spot, but I can use that as an example. In like, it doesn't really tell you how many more turns, but it'll give you an idea. Because it gives you the percentage remaining on it. I can get an idea though if I would just watch it. It does vary, as you can see. That one was 24 up to 32. That one gained 8%. The militia still fighting off the enemy. That's right. And let's be peaceful. Let's be peaceful. Oh yeah, that is one thing they added in this patch. There's like the new quest victory thing, which I'm going to talk about in another video. The other cool thing is now you can turn to your friend and say, hey, do you want me to declare war on somebody? Oh no, that would be them declaring war on somebody. But since I'm planning on declaring war on the Necrophage anyway, I need a lot more influence to do it. But I could in theory get goodies from them in exchange for doing that. Honestly, I already know I don't like the Necrophage, so I'm just gonna go ahead and declare war. But that's something that you guys can keep in mind now for the future. And actually they have a proliferator in here, so I'm going to manual it just to show it off. Because that's easily their most interesting unit. Necrophage in general, very deadly because of their disease mechanic, which is basically a damage over time effect. This is actually not the best spot. They're going to come down to me, I'm sure. I don't really have reinforcements, so I can not worry about keeping those tiles clear for once. But I do want to make sure these guys are set to hold position. And at least spread these guys out. That'll do for now. Actually, he's going to move there. Because it's going to take them some time to move down. Now, before that one up there that I'm pointing out with my mouse is called a Battleborn. That's what the proliferator makes. I mentioned it briefly in the other video, but if the proliferator attacks something and that something dies, even if you lose a battle, that something will respawn as a Necrophage unit. That Battleborn which just briefly popped up there. It's new to the patch that they are skinned as something different, but they basically work like a forager that can't be upgraded. So the Necrogens are great for giving a good surround on the enemy, but the AI doesn't use them very effectively. Nothing super duper needs heals right now. He's gonna go up there. That should be acceptable. Wait, no, he maybe might want to attack that one. That should work. Oh, maybe that was a bit of overkill. Now these guys are going to attack that and assume these guys are going to attack that one. Good. That's pretty much what I would have chosen. Again, if you look at these graphs here, I'm pretty sure the Necrophages still have the more powerful army. Yes, they do. But again, they're going to spread their army out, while almost all of my units are pretty much in that one ball there. And research, I'm actually just about past them in research, so I can expect blue to not be a factor and orange to not be a factor. Yeah, orange is still higher, but you've seen them slow down like that. And blue, you can start seeing them slow down too. Roving clans are still a bit of a concern, but I'm gaining techs way faster than they are, partly through trades. Even without the trades though, I'm in a very, very good position to kick their butts. Wait. That makes a bit more sense. You heal him. Ah, there's a proliferator. It's got a shiny thing on its tail. So we're going to see it attack something. Where's its... okay, it's the first Necrophage unit to move. There'll be a little buff icon that pops up. That indicates that the thing has been infected with a parasite. So I have to make sure that thing doesn't die. Otherwise there's going to be a bit more army running around that I have to clear. They're actually great to use against minor factions because they're pretty much around all the time. Unless you are actually very, very thorough about clearing them, which is hard to do. So you can actually get a pretty crazy army just from killing the really weak stuff the computer throws at you. Let's see, these guys might as well swing up and attack the militia, cause yeah. Everything else is just about taken care of. This is phase 4 of 6. And again, while the battle's going, since not much is really going on, can it be productive elsewhere? Like move these guys up? Might as well parley with a village, see if it's going to give me anything. That's a lot of dust. These guys can detour to make sure that region's clear, sure. This is still going on. Okay, so... actually, that's the range unit. It should attack the thing that's going to stay on the cliff. That should work. That should work too. Keeping these units alive, basically. While that's going on, just going to review all my cities are still doing stuff. Yep. You can see the grayed out resources are things that pretty much just appeared that I don't have yet. There's still some question marks, probably in just the territories I just took over. So I should try to figure out what those are. I'd assume by the positioning of this one that's strategics, which always come first, like that one's a strategic, and that one's probably either another strategic or a luxury. If it's a luxury, it's a tier 1 luxury because they also go in order by tier. Okay, so everything's trying to gang up on the proliferator now, which I think is the last thing they have. Yes, it is. Really, the only thing that can reach it are... oh wait, never mind. Back door. Very nice. Good job, guys. So this will be the last one I show off of these unless something interesting happens. In which case you'll know because I'll either abruptly cut into it, or there'll be a lot of silence and then be going, oh hey. So we'll see. We'll see what comes up. I don't think there's going to be much else to really show as far as those go. You can get really clever with unit loadouts. Like if you get, say, a dredge minor faction, because they can equip hammers, or the riders from the Broken Lords. Then you can, in theory, have a unit that stun locks everything all the time, which is pretty great. If you get really clever with City Besieged. Oh, that's just a minor faction from before. And now I can, in theory, declare war on Orange again. And what was I saying? You could get really clever with archers, actually. Especially the Wild Walkers ones. They're really easy to do this with, but constantly cutting away from the enemy. Give them high initiative, loads of movement, and unless you have cavalry or flying or something else that moves really quickly across the map, they're not going to touch you. Okay, so... yeah, I'm also going to automatic where I can at this point. It's not a good habit, but at the same time, if I overpower them that much, I'm just going to do it at this point to try to save some time. I'm going to go from here to here to here. Unless they try to take over their city. Go for it, go, you can do it. Distract them at least. They are great, they're nice little buddies to have sometimes. Ooh, I can go right up there and siege it right away, cool. Nah, it's a weird city expansion. It's next to a ruin though, I'll forgive it. Yes, let's just do that. This is going to be another influence city. Because I'm also going to need more of it for my empire plans as I keep expanding. Alright, this is the one I have to keep the enemy out of. Okay, can do. Let's start with you, because you're kind of close by. The Mazari are right there, which is a bit of a concern. Oh, and I didn't upgrade these units yet, so I might need to wander up north briefly. Actually, that is a region there, so I'm okay. Gonna need a lot more dust for it, but I'm gonna get that dust. This one I'm not feeling so great about. I am gonna automatic this, but you'd have to stay and watch.